Welcome to the Skeptic Zone, the podcast from Australia for science and reason.
Yes, it's the Skeptic Zone podcast, episode number 696 for the 6th of February 2022. Richard Saunders coming to you from Sydney, Australia once again. This week on the show we have You Can Count on Adrian with Adrian Hill. Looking at numbers once again, This week, Adrian looks at the mystical and mysterious meanings behind the number 7. 7. Is 7 a good luck number? A bad luck number? Is 7 out of luck? Or none of the above? What does numerology have to say about your personality and the number 7? Or are you people born on the 7th of a month, or in the 7th month, or in 1970, or 1977, or in 1967, or You get the idea. You Can Count on Adrian with Adrian Hill coming up at the top of the show. Then we have, we sort of eavesdrop a little bit. We catch up with Susan Gerbic, who was recently awarded an award. You get awarded an award. Yeah, that sort of makes sense. And we also have something right in the middle of the show we normally leave to the Easter egg. It's the dice game. I thought since Susan was there and I was interviewing her and there were some other people on the Zoom meeting, I would play the dice game. And bear in mind that Susan always picks the number 5 when we play this game. What happened this week? Find out. Then to round off the show, it's back into the Trove archives, and picking up from last week, we look at spoon-bending kids from the 1970s. Now, these were young kids and teenagers who, sort of jumped on the bandwagon, so to speak, of spoon-bending and psychic power that was very popular at the time, owing to Uri Geller and his TV performances, and an uncritical, to some extent, media. Now, keep listening at the end of the episode for more announcements from me. But now it's time for me to run downstairs, raid the pantry, make up some pancakes. Any type of pancakes. I've heard Korean pancakes are very nice. I've tried Japanese pancakes and I cannot wait to try them again. I really cannot wait. But I heard Korean pancakes are pretty yummy too. Any pancakes will do. Well, I do that, and I hope you enjoy the Skeptic Zone. You Can Count on Adrian with Adrian Hill.
While I was participating in the Great Australian Prediction Project, something that kept coming up and I found to be unusual was predictions regarding the so-called 7-year. For example, we have this from Rose Armitage, who is quoted in the International Psychics Directory. Quote, 2005 is a 7-year. So there will be a need for people to get more in touch with their inner being, end quote. I had never heard of such a thing, so I decided to investigate. Google apparently was unfamiliar with the term 7-year as well. The search engine kept trying to correct me to search for such things as the 7 Years' War, the 7-year itch, or the 7-year rule in inheritance tax. I refined my search to include the term numerology, and voila! A plethora of choices were presented to me, ranging from mediums to tarot card readers. After reading these sites, so you won't have to, I'm still confused, to be honest. But this is hardly surprising, as numerology seems to be a mixture of mathematics, New Age feelings, superstition, and jargon, but very little science. Richard did some digging for me and found that Lynn Kelly studied the methods of many numerologies in her 2004 book, The Skeptic's Guide to the Paranormal. In it, she says, quote, McLean and Alana said the destiny number could also be called the expression number, while Struthers and Celine use that term for the sum of the consonants in a name. Your birthday alone gives you your psychic, shrine, or birth path, Whitaker, or goal, Barat, or birthday, Alana, or personality, Deuce and Baker, number. Sigh. While your personality number is calculated from summing the consonants in your name, according to Pither and Alana. End quote. Oh my, no wonder I'm confused. According to the Skeptic's Dictionary online, it says, quote, numerology is the study of the occult meanings of numbers and their influence on human life. Since there are no occult meanings to numbers, and since numbers by themselves can have no significant influence on anyone's life, numerology is nothing but superstition masquerading as science or art. End quote. According to creativenumerology.com, the 7-year is a year of learning. Does that mean school is not necessary any other year? Also, quote, 7 energy flows in an atmosphere of privacy, solitude, and quietness. It is constantly seeking answers to its steady stream of questions about itself and life. It is seeking truth, wisdom, dignity, fulfillment, and perfection. End quote. Well, it seems to me that this waffle is just more waffle on another waffle level. It's the type of waffle that could be considered to be a Barnum statement. These are statements that are commonly used in so-called psychic or cold readings. They lead the client to impose their own interpretation on them and can often seem to be uncanny. I'll read this sentence again with a small change or two. You are a Sagittarius, and as such seek an atmosphere of privacy, solitude, and quietness. You are constantly seeking answers to a steady stream of questions about your life. Sagittarians are always seeking truth, wisdom, dignity, fulfillment, and perfection. You can also swap out the word Sagittarius and replace it with any random card from a tarot deck. I have laid down the 7 of Swords. This tells me you seek an atmosphere of privacy, solitude, and quietness. I think you get the idea. And there's math involved in determining your 7-year, and that should excite me, being a math teacher, but no, it just made me shake my head. If we look, we can find many meaningful 7s in our culture. 7 days of the week, chosen apparently to represent the 7 classical planets. Those planets are astronomical objects that can be seen with the naked eye. The Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, and the Sun. The 7-year itch is the supposed time it takes for the waning of happiness to occur within a relationship. And then there are the 7 deadly sins. And maybe the most well-known of all superstitions, you will have 7 years of bad luck if you break a mirror. At murrayglass.com, a site where you can purchase new windows, there is an excellent section about what you should do if you break a mirror to avoid those 7 years of bad luck. They go into great detail about the history, including the belief that mirrors may contain your soul or be able to see into the future. They also have multiple suggestions about what you can do to stave off your 7 years of bad luck by doing such things as burying the broken mirror in moonlight or touching a broken piece to a tombstone. But then they make my day with this line, quote, the truth is, there's no need to fall prey to the broken mirror superstition. Take charge of your luck and simply replace your broken mirror, end quote. But then they make my day with this line, quote, the truth is, there's no need to fall prey to the broken mirror superstition. Take charge of your luck and simply replace your broken mirror, end quote. Of course, they suggest that Murray Glass replace it for you. Brilliant. Within literature, such as the Bible, the number 7 appears more than 700 times, according to BibleStudy.org. The site says, quote, in the book of Revelation, there are 7 churches, 7 angels to the 7 churches, 7 seals, 7 trumpet plagues, 7 thunders, and the 7 last plagues, end quote. For a more contemporary example, according to harrypotter.fandom.com/wiki/7, within the Harry Potter books, the number 7 was important in the world of wizards. There were 7 years of attending Hogwarts school, 7 floors at the school, 7 core classes, 7 secret passages that exited the school, 7 snitches that were caught by Harry, and there are 7 players on each Quidditch team. This is a very small sample of all things 7 within the books. To see a very extensive list, visit the wiki. Oh, and did I mention that there are 7 books in the series? Some of the more fun superstitions that I have found were on numerologist.com. According to the site, and in no particular order, quote, wrapping her husband's belt 7 times around a tree causes a woman to become fertile. The 7th child of a 7th child is said to have psychic powers. It is unlucky to get married April 7th or December 7th. If you wash your hair on the 7th day of the month, you will have trouble with the law. End quote. Not sure how I've managed to stay out of trouble all these years. As we have found with the number 3, 7 can be considered to be both good and bad, and likely depends upon our usual culprit, confirmation bias, to keep these superstitions alive. But maybe there's something to it. I mean, the word skeptic has 7 letters. On that note, it's time for me to run upstairs and make 7 delicious waffles for my family with some nice Canadian maple syrup. I wonder if that would be a lucky or unlucky thing to do, as I've just realized that the word waffles also has 7 letters. Until next time, this is Adrienne Hill.
Hey, Adrienne.
Hi, Susan. Out for some shopping, eh?
Yep, I'm stocking up on this imitation maple syrup from Australia.
Imitation? Imitation? No. You need to buy the real thing from Canada.
But I saw the TV commercial, and it said that noted pancake-eating expert Richard Saunders says it's the best maple syrup money can buy, and 60% of people preferred it in a blind taste test. Everyone knows it's the best.
Oh, come on, Susan. You know better than that. That's the argument from authority.
It is?
Or is it the argument from popularity? It might be another logical fallacy. I'm not sure.
Really? If only we had a way of finding out.
Hello, everyone.
Oh my, it's the skeptical fairy godmother angel from the internet.
Yes, that's right. But how did you know who I am?
I listened to the Skeptic Zone podcast. Also, didn't you used to be the tooth fairy?
Oh, yes. I remember you. I'll never forget your left upper lateral incisor. Would you like it back?
No, it's okay. You keep it.
Hey, skeptical fairy godmother angel. What are you doing here in the supermarket?
I've come to tell you that you can find out about 40 different logical fallacies on YouTube in one handy location. Listen to each one to hear an explanation and examples of how they might be used.
Oh.
Just go to tinyurl.com/logicalzone and you'll find all the logical fallacies with Michelle Bickersma with handy time codes to get to the exact one you want.
Who is Michelle Bickersma?
Oh, just a friend of mine.
tinyurl.com/logicalzone. Thank you, skeptical fairy godmother angel. I guess you'll disappear in a puff of smoke and thunder now, eh?
Not quite yet. I have a bit of shopping to do. Susan?
Yes?
Where do I find the Australian maple syrup?
What? No. Come with me, so-called skeptical fairy. This is real maple syrup from Canada. Made with real maple.
I think we need to think. Here's Susan Gerbic.
Now, just before we get to Susan, and I recorded this a few days ago before we were playing a game of trivia with the Trivia Gang, the Committee for Skeptical Inquiry awards the Robert P. Bales Annual Prize in Critical Thinking. The $2,500 award is given to the creator of the published work that best exemplifies healthy skepticism, logical analysis, or empirical science. Normally this is given every year at SciCon. However, owing to COVID and other delays, we are only just discovering that the 2019 award has been awarded to our good friend, Susan Gerbic.
Yeah.
Hi, Richard.
Hello, Susan. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
What's the
I'm
net?
totally shocked.
What is that award? I'm not familiar with that.
The Bales Award. Here, I will look it up. And
Bales.
it's the funniest thing is
Bales.
Balles. I will look. I put this Wikipedia page together, which is part of the problem with the reason why I'm having so much trouble. Let's go, Darwin.
It's the. Is it the something Bales Award?
It's the. It's super heavy.
It's the Super Heavy Award.
It is so heavy. It is the Robert P. Bales. Balles.
Susan Gerbic has won the Robert P. Bales Award for.
In critical thinking.
Yes.
Susan Gerbic, Investigation of Psychics, 2019.
Well done and congratulations. And by the way, I am recording this for the Skeptic Zone. Susan, what do you have? What was your reaction?
Totally
was
a
this
surprise.
It was a surprise.
Total surprise. Absolutely. It's a 2019 award, and it's a big deal. It's a Robert P. Bales Award, and it is a prize given to the creator of the published work that best exemplifies healthy skepticism, logical analysis, or empirical evidence. And it was established through a memorial fund years and years ago. And some of the other people who have won it are Ben Goldacre, Stephen Novella, Richard Weissman,
Good company. Good company.
Julia Maria Konakovia, and Donald Prothero. So it's usually given an award for literature. So if you for some sort of book you have come out. So I never ever thought that I would ever be able to win this because. But I guess Wikipedia is. Hi, Alan. Wikipedia is.
It is heavy. Can you hold that up one more time for me, just to the camera, so I can have a good look at that? Wow, that's beautiful. Cut glass sort of award, isn't it, with the engraving?
It takes a gorilla to lift one of those.
Only gorillas can lift these. Yeah,
that's very impressive.
It's probably 10 pounds or something. And Mark says not to put it by the window because, like with a crystal ball, when they said the fires are started with crystal balls set next to the window.
It's a magnet for the cats. You know that. They're going to come up and go, pat, 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 crash.
No, actually, they never do. My cats have never knocked anything over. Look at all the stuff that's sitting here.
She's got a gargoyle. Is it a gargoyle in the background there? She's got a...
Yeah, that's a gargoyle.
That's a gargoyle.
Not a gargoyle. Because she felt that... we had to have a gargoyle, and then there's a Randy doll.
James Randy.
There's a picture of my kids when they were little.
Yep.
There's my what is that called? What did we decide? It's not a gargoyle.
I can't remember. It's
a grotesque.
It's a grotesque. It's a grotesque. Folks, we're just about to play a little bit of trivia, but I thought I would come in early and congratulate you, Susan. I don't know if you heard my shout out to you a week or two on the Skeptic Zone. I said you do more than for skepticism than just about anybody I know, which is true, and that's reflected in the fact that you've won this prestigious award. And to celebrate, Susan, oh yes, here it comes.
Oh, it's at number 5 on the die.
We're going to play.
Not rigged. Okay, I see.
We're going to play the dice game. Now, you always...
Okay, everybody, we're going to play the dice game.
Complained in the past that you can't see the apparatus. Well, here it is.
There it goes. Okay. Wait, here comes Peggy. Let's let her in the door. Okay. All right.
So everybody put your prediction. There's about 6 or 7 people here. Put your prediction into the chat window in Zoom.
Oh, 3.
5.
Oh.
Here we go. 3, 4, 4, 3.
Oh, what the heck?
And we've got a 1, 2, just about every number's covered, I think.
I see nobody's putting 5.
So here we go. Roll,
Because they know that it's always lose.
Here it comes. No
Yes!
way. No way.
And that's on video, y'all.
You
It's a
would
5.
not believe it. That is real. It's a 5. And
It's
you
only a 1 in 6 chance, but it never happened.
you all saw that.
Give Susan an award.
Yeah, it's amazing. Okay, we're going to do it again.
Yep, 2 more times. So next guesses, everybody.
5.
Next guesses.
My goal is to get 5, 5, 5. Come on, let's do it.
4.
Put your guess in the chat, quick. 1 to 6.
Okay, and here it comes. No way.
Yes! Oh my God! Oh,
It's a trick dice.
It's not.
gotta be a trick
I
die.
promise you, it is.
Yes.
It is not.
Oh,
No, it's not. Are you sure it's not heavily weighted?
I did not buy a special dice that would only come up with 5. I promise you.
There's no way.
No way.
It has to be a trick die.
See this? Look, well, you can't see.
Oh, we
that.
can't see that.
One more
We can't see
time
that.
now.
See that? It's just random.
Yeah,
All right.
okay, it is.
One
It's
more
not
time.
Okay.
One more
Oh,
time.
this is my night, you guys. The odds are 1 in 6 is going to be a 5.
4
So
is coming up.
5
I'm gonna
again.
fall
I've been
to 4.
asking for this for a year. So
5,
5, 5, 5.
2,
Here we
1.
go. 5, 5.
Here it comes. No!
What?
There's. He's doing sleight of hand or something.
It did it. No, I promise
way.
you.
It is a 5
I am
again.
being completely honest.
No,
it is a 5.
No way.
You did it.
What are the odds of that?
You
Somebody
did it.
quickly calculate that.
Listen.
Kyle,
Well, we have to
quickly.
define the hypothesis we're testing. The chance that the die is fair versus Richard is the sleight of hand.
Okay, so
Or
In
that
all-
roll it on the table.
yeah,
why are you
yeah. Look.
Look at it, Skeptic.
Ready? 4, 3,
Roll it on the table.
5,
Wow.
No way.
1, 5, 6.
I mean, I know that
3.
the odds are
All
that
right.
you're going to get a 5, 5, 5.
Watch this.
eventually, But
1.
it's got to be sleight of hand.
1 in
Carl.
260. Carl, you and I have put down 4 every time, and I don't think a 4 has shown up there at
So
all.
this really did happen. It was no sleight of hand. It's no magic dice. Susan, you've got 5, 5, 5.
Well, okay.
Hey, after
It
the universe,
really
cats
look.
and dogs living together.
And you know that in all the years I've been doing this, I simply read out the number and it was videoed. You all saw it. This is no sleight of hand. Wow. They don't believe me.
I'm
They're all
skeptical.
skeptical.
I'm still very skeptical.
But
I'm very skeptical.
but the thing is,
Terry and I
it's
are
got 5, 5, 5 has got as much chance as coming up as 6, 4, 2 or 5, 2,
oh, yeah, of
2.
course.
It happened.
Of course.
It
That's
ha-
why I've been trying for the same number. Now I guess I'm going to have to try for another number.
Okay, so there's 216 possibilities. 200 and there.
I haven't figured that out.
So,
But,
so
but
you
anyway,
guys stay tuned to the next Skeptic Zone.
in all honesty, and you all saw it because it was videoed and people can watch this video again, no magic dice, no sleight of hand. Susan, you really did get 5, 5, 5.
216, yeah.
I'm okay. I'll believe it for the moment.
Hi, this is Dr. Pamela Gay from Astronomy Cast. Each week, Fraser Kane and I take our listeners on a fact-based journey through the cosmos. With our weekly podcast, we explain not just what we know, but how we know what we know about this universe that we share. Check us out at astronomycast.com and look for us in iTunes, Google Play, and wherever you download podcasts. See you online.
Now it's time to dive into those digital archives again from newspapers around the world in what we like to call the Trove segment, because most of the stories we get are from Australia from the Trove archive at trove.nla.gov.au, thousands of digitised newspapers and so on. Today, once again, we're going further afield to an American archive, and following on from last week's show, which we were really looking at Kerlian photography, but it sort of went off in tangents, and we read the account of a so-called psychic kid, one Colleen Cummins. Now, the author of the piece, Bob Kirkpatrick, seemed to be quite taken with the supposed abilities of young Colleen, who could bend spoons and forks. So much so that I have found another piece by him along a similar line, so I think it's worth reporting on. And this comes from Sunday, January the 4th, 1976, which places it right smack bang in the middle, slightly later on than the middle, hard to say, of the whole Uri Geller spoon-bending psychic goings-on of the 1970s. So, Sunday, January the 4th, 1976, and this is in the Santa Ana Register, in the Focus section. County boys explore eerie psychic world. Two Orange County youngsters have joined the spoon-bending set, duplicating the psychokinetic power of Israeli psychic Uri Geller. The first to enter the Geller effect arena was a 10-year-old boy in La Palma, David Shepard. Young David began warping silverware early last summer. Witnesses to his unusual psychic power include Dr. William Sundgren, a psychologist and junior high school counselor in Anaheim, Apollo astronaut Dr. Edgar B. Mitchell, founder and president of the Institute of Noetic Sciences in Palo Alto. Now, a quick look at Wikipedia, just quickly. Noetic Sciences, a branch of metaphysics concerned with the study of mind and intellect. Paul Bannister, a reporter for the Weekly National Enquirer, John Yench, Anaheim Bulletin, staff writer, and Stuart Robb, Anaheim, a long-time parapsychological researcher, lecturer, and author who on several occasions has had David demonstrate his psychokinetic power before adult and extension classes in parapsychology. So, a 10-year-old boy can fool all these people. Like Colleen Cummins of Long Beach, David is a completely normal youngster in all respects, with interests and activities one would expect of a 10-year-old, except for his difficult-to-explain ability to contort metal objects at will by what Mitchell describes as non-physical means. Like many adults who have achieved the Geller effect, David had never observed, in fact, had never heard of, psychic Geller before discovering the powers of psychokinesis. Oh, yeah? As the blue-eyed metal mangler recalls, it was sometime around April that our family went to a hobby show in Long Beach. I glanced at a booth where a lady was holding a spoon. I found my parents and told them about the lady and the spoon. We went there and saw her stroking spoons gently until they bent by themselves. The lady asked them to try it. They tried it, but the spoons would not bend. And when I tried it, I could not make them bend either. A few days later, I tried to do it again. This time, the spoons bent a bit. My father saw it and has got me to do it several times since. Asked to describe how he achieves the phenomenon, David explained simply, I just think about the spoon bending and wish that it would. I sort of feel energy going into the spoon. Sort of wish that it would go there. And it does. And like Colleen, David doesn't object to a gallery of observers. In fact, he claims he performs better when people are around. It's as if I can draw upon them for energy, the youngster observes. David's parents, Harry and Sharon Shepard, who admit to a long-standing interest in psychic phenomena, have been careful not to try to influence him in any way in the exercise of his strange power. As Harry Shepard explained it, We don't want to push the boy in any way. At the same time, we don't want to say, no, you cannot do that. We just want to let him develop on his own and regard this simply as another activity of his. Although willing to have David engage in scientific research in the study of his power, the shepherds don't wish to discuss details for any planned studies. Undue publicity, they fear, might jeopardize the research. An added facet to young David's power is the apparent ability to achieve healing, according to his father, who reports that the boy periodically attends a healing clinic in Santa Monica to effect relief of minor ailments such as backaches. And parapsychological lecturer Rob vouches for having witnessed David achieve a minor healing in one of his classes. The most recent case, and by far the most spectacular and productive, of youth going on a mind-mashing paranormality bender involves a Laguna Beach boy, formerly of Anaheim. Chris Kennedy, a slender, blonde 12-year-old, has all the appearance of an average kid next door. This softly spoken, blue-eyed youngster likes to play football, enjoys surfing, is interested in motorcycling, and a host of other activities which one considers normal for a boy his age. But today, he's bending knives, forks, spoons, keys, coins, even heavy andirons with ease. And I had to look that one up. An andiron is a big sort of metal object, metal rod device you put in front of a fireplace to stop fire, the logs rolling out. Chris developed this strange power through the guidance of his father, Lawrence Kennedy, of South Laguna. Determined to master the same psychic powers demonstrated by Geller, Kennedy, for months, concentrated on spoon bending, trying to produce the well-known Geller effect. Despite exhausting efforts of concentration and willing the phenomenon to occur, nothing happened. Kennedy was frustrated and discouraged, but he hoped to emulate Geller's feats in order to present an academic treatise on his phenomenon. As the deadline for his paper drew near, panic welled up in him. The breakthrough came in early July. Quietly, effortlessly, no sparks, no thunder, no lightning, it just happened. Kennedy was listening to a Franz Liszt concerto, totally relaxed and absorbing the beauty of the music, but all the while gently stroking the spoon he invariably carried with him. And the spoon became limp, began to bend. As Kennedy explained it, I simply forgot my ego and continuous striving and willing to achieve this, and let a higher power take over. Son Chris was stunned. Gee, Dad, do you think I could do that? Of course you can, son. And soon afterwards, Chris bent his first spoon. Oh, to be a fly on the wall during that occasion. But neither he nor his father were prepared for the psychic explosion, which occurred later. One morning in August, Kennedy was on the phone conducting details of his psychic book distribution business, while Chris was in the kitchen trying unsuccessfully to bend a fork. When his father got off the phone, Chris confessed dejectedly, Dad, I can't do my stuff on this fork. Maybe what you need is a spoon instead of a fork, Kennedy suggested, pulling open the cutlery drawer. He was shocked, he later told me, to find the drawer a mangled metal mess. Forks, knives, spoons, can openers, basking whisk, and a tea kettle top were all contorted. A potato peeler was broken off at the handle. This kid has been busy. Kennedy fished for a spoon in the dishwasher. More mangled silverware. He went to the sink. No usable cutlery there either. Bemused, Kennedy scratched his head, probably with a bent fork. What the heck are we going to use for dinner? He pondered aloud. Entering the living room, he discovered more metal mayhem. The corner of the birdcage was bent out of line. The metal rabbit ear antenna on the TV were bent. The TV stand, magazine rack, was contorted, and one metal strand broken. Metal camping cookware laid out for a forthcoming vacation trip looked like rejects from a junk swap meet. Kennedy contacted members of the news media in Orange County to apprise them of the incident. The National Enquirer got wind of this phenomenon and wanted details. But before the Kennedys' mass metal bending experience had become publicly known, their psychokinetic powers had come to the attention of parapsychological researcher Stuart Robb, also of Anaheim. Robb lost no time in delving further into the Kennedys' apparent psychic power. While interviewing the two at lunch in a Fullerton restaurant, Robb began his inquiry by having Chris try his hand at psychometry, the process of holding an article in the hand and tuning in on specific details of the article's owner or the article itself. Chris performed well. Robb then handed him a Chinese fortune cookie and asked him to read the hidden contents. Chris cupped the cookie in his hands, closed his eyes, and concentrated. Minutes later, he hesitantly quoted the message received in his mind. "The night life is fortune." Robb opened the cookie and read the printed fortune on the tiny slip of paper. "The night life is for you," it read. Excited, Robb picked up another fortune cookie and handed it to Chris. "Now read this one." Chris appeared puzzled, disappointed, Robb said, because he kept getting the same message. Chris commented that the first message must be lingering, that he could not get it out of his mind. All he could receive was the same reading. "The night life is for you." Robb opened the second cookie. The fortune reading was identical to the first. Wow, talk about a rigorous scientific test. On another occasion at Robb's home, the fortune cookie experiment was repeated. This time, according to Robb, Chris scored with 100% accuracy. Astounding. Impressed with Chris's abilities, Robb stated, "Chris unquestionably has genuine psychic powers, and they're growing more powerful every day. There's simply no other way he could have known the contents of the fortune cookies. I saw to that myself." To verify Chris's apparent powers, I interviewed him and his father at their modest apartment. Robb and his family were also present. I examined the twisted kitchenware, the misshaped birdcage, and the bent rabbit ear antenna, the camping cookware ludicrously malformed. At Robb's suggestion, Chris proceeded to demonstrate his ability to bend kitchenware. A good-looking youngster, Chris seemed natural as rain. Dressed in blue jeans, a t-shirt, and a string of wooden beads around his neck, he appeared relaxed and happy to perform for us. We watched as he gently stroked a spoon. Within minutes, it had angled to 90 degrees. Minutes later, it had almost doubled back. With a trace of a smile, Chris set it on the floor to join an array of misshapen silverware displayed for our benefit. And in brackets it says here, "Today he has a suitcase full of contorted knives, spoons and forks, which he has accumulated through repeated demonstrations, and his father continues to foot an ever-mounting bill for replacement silverware." End brackets. Robb suggested another experiment. Producing a wrist watch, which no longer worked, he asked Chris to see if he could make the hands move. We hovered over Chris, watching him closely. The boy held the watch on both sides, not saying a word, just concentrating. His fingers remained immobile. We were positive that he had made no effort to rotate the stem. Within the first 2 minutes, there was barely perceptible movement. The minute hand had crept ahead 5 minutes. Suddenly, the minute hand began travelling. Within a matter of seconds, the minute hand had made a complete revolution around the face of the watch, with no movement of Chris's fingers. Later, during the same interview, Chris picked up a potato peeler, already bent to a 45-degree angle. He stroked it for a few moments, then held it in one hand, watching it fixedly. Moments later, it snapped in two. Wow. Now, I'll just pause here and comment like I did last week. What I'm reading now is a textbook 101 description of the spoon-bending magic trick. And the watches, too. Now, the watches are interesting because, as Randy pointed out and put to the test, especially when you have many watches. For example, if you're pretending to be psychic and you go on the radio and you say to all the audience, everybody run to your cupboards and get old watches that haven't worked for years. And in the 1970s, there would be more of those around than now, I think. The old analog watches with you'd wind up. So people would run, they would hold the watches in their hand, thus warming up the watch a little bit, maybe loosening the oil. They would shake them, they would wind them up, they'd do all sorts of things, and some would work. Of course, some would work, even if it's only for a little while. And then those people would ring up the radio station and say, "It's amazing, I held my watch and concentrated, and the watch began to work." But yes, what I'm reading now is stock standard stuff. But let's pick up the story again. Moments later, it snapped in two. Chris, again, with just a trace of a smile, handed the pieces to me for examination. Still another facet of Chris's complex of powers has been reported by Rob. On 2 occasions, Rob engaged Chris in experimentation with that Rob labels independent writing. Rob places a blank piece of paper on a coffee table at his home. Over it, face down, he places a sheet of carbon paper. Above this, he places a page of newspaper. Rob instructs Chris, "Now think of something pertaining to the world of music." The boy held his hand above the paper for a few moments, concentrating on Rob's suggestion. Then they turned their attention to other experiments, letting the independent writing experiment cook, as Rob recounted. 45 minutes later, Rob continued, I removed the carbon paper, and clearly imprinted in block letters on the original blank paper were the words, Paddy Page. Yet another experiment conducted at Rob's home, and for which he vouches unreservedly, involved a mechanical poker hand-dealing device. Push the button and 5 wheels spin. One at a time, the drums abruptly halt, revealing the image of a playing card. 3 times, according to Rob, young Chris correctly predicted the suit of all 5 playing cards displayed by the device. What distinguishes Chris from the other 2 youngsters described earlier is the tremendous, ever-widening scope of his psychic abilities. In addition to psychokinesis, psychometrics, and independent writing, Kennedy and Rob report successful experiments with Chris in archaeological psychometry, precognition, telepathy, automatic writing, clairaudio, astral travel, and astral projection, transfer of psychokinetic power, and most recently, psychic healing. Possibly the most significant development in Chris's career are his reported psychic healings. A number of parapsychological researchers have observed these healings, including Rob and Kenneth Mackenzie, the Director of Research at the Cynetics Research and Education Foundation, Anaheim. Effected through meditation with no physical contact, Chris's father claims that more than 50 persons have experienced immediate relief, in some instances perhaps a cure, from a variety of physical ailments such as hearing loss, impaired eyesight, rheumatism, and crippling arthritis. While Mackenzie points out that no conclusions can be drawn without follow-up studies and documentation by medical authorities, he readily vouches for observing the reactions of subjects who have declared immediate improvement in their condition. The most dramatic instance of healing claimed by Kennedy occurred in mid-November at the Church of Revelation, Anaheim, where he and Chris gave a demonstration of psychic healing. It involved a 26-year-old man, Kennedy reports, confined to a wheelchair who stated, I haven't walked in 5 years. I'll never walk normally again. After applying their meditation technique, Kennedy states that the man got up from his wheelchair, walked across the stage, and back to his wheelchair. The occurrence was witnessed by and is vouched for by the Church's Reverend Richard Vallingham. Parapsychologists came up with a variety of definitions of this psychic power, as well as experiments or theories regarding its source, often with religious overtones. Yet the consensus is firm. The power is undeniably real. 1976, huh? In fact, this power has been captured on film in, here we go again from last week, in Kerlian photography experiments at UCLA's Neuropsychiatric Institute. Kerlian photography, developed in Russia, is the sending of an electrical charge through an object placed on film. The result is a picture showing the surface characteristics of the object, along with the image of the emanation of energy field contained in the object. Physicists call it the cold emissions coming from the object. Other researchers label it as the corona discharge, life force, or aura. The Russians called the image of this force the bioplasma body. Call it what you will, but UCLA experiments photographed a dramatic surge of this power spurting from psychic Uri Geller's fingertip. I have watched Chris's performance on several occasions, but unquestionably, the spookiest experience I have had with him involved a serious prediction or warning. Late in the afternoon of August 27, Kennedy called me from Anderson, California, where he and Chris were vacationing with relatives. The urgency in Kennedy's voice was unmistakable. He told me that Chris had entered a trance-like state on 2 occasions, both times communicating repeatedly with images of John F. Kennedy and Robert F. Kennedy, at which time Chris received urgent warnings of an impending attempt against the life of President Ford. Kennedy asked if I would notify the Newswire services. Instinctively, I shrank from the idea. No news bureau, I felt certain, would touch the incident with a 20-foot pole. But Kennedy persisted. Before he hung up, he urged me, "Do something, please. I just don't want this hanging over my conscience." Half an hour later, I relayed Kennedy's account to the night shift chief of Associated Press's Los Angeles bureau. His reaction did not surprise me. Skepticism, fear of a hoax, suspicion of publicity hunting, strictly flaky, as newsmen label it. However, after vouching for Chris's observed abilities, I secured the shift chief's promise to contact the San Francisco bureau and suggested that someone contact Kennedy by phone. No call was ever made. On Friday, August 29, we had just locked up the front page at the Register. It was 11 a.m. No late-breaking stories compelling us to burst into page 1. Until 5 minutes later, when the slot man rushed from the teletype room, waving an urgent AP dispatch. Dateline Washington, the story began. The Secret Service is investigating threats to kill President Ford and Vice President Rockefeller in Dallas, Texas, and New York, a spokesman said today. "We're aware of threats in New York and a threat in Dallas, and we're investigating," said the spokesman, Ken Lynch. He declined to give further details. I contacted Rob, relaying the details of Chris's earlier warning, then the contents of the AP dispatch quoted above. Rob was skeptical. "Chris has undeniable psychic powers," he commented, "but I seriously doubt he's able to communicate with spirits on a higher plane, so to speak." And with that, Rob dismissed the episode, suggesting that it might have been autosuggestion in Chris's subconscious mind playing tricks. But several days later, Associated Press flashed word of an attempt against Ford's life near the state capitol in Sacramento. Secret Service men had wrestled Lynette Squeaky Fromme, I think it's pronounced, a Manson family member, to the ground after she had brandished a loaded automatic and aimed it at arm's-length range at President Ford. 17 days later, on September the 22nd, Sarah Jane Moore, 45, linked to a number of Bay Area radical groups, was seized in San Francisco after she fired a .33 caliber revolver at Ford. Even today, a disturbing uneasiness gnaws at me. Fortuitous? A lucky shot in the dark? Or does young Chris stand at the threshold of a new dimension, a newly discovered source of power which begs for scientific inquiry? And there are various pictures accompanying this. Let's see, the first one, which is sort of at the bottom of the page. Here we go. We have a nice photograph of young Chris with his long blonde hair. His father, with long dark hair and a beard, with a table full of bent cutlery and iron rods and keys and forks and I don't know what. Lawrence Kennedy, son Chris, checked twisted metal objects. Kennedys now are engaged in experiments with psychic healing. It's staggering, the table of bent metal in front of them. Another photograph here is a group of people. David shows mangled spoon to family. Sister April, the Shepherds, encourage boy. Again, there's a family there of David Shepherd with mangled spoons on the table in front of him. The family look on. And lastly, at the bottom of the page, Kerlian photograph captures psychic energy. Kerlian photo, sorry, I gotta get myself together. Kerlian photo captures psychic energy. Burst is from fingertip of psychic Geller. So there you go. The strange story, or maybe the not so strange story of kids in the 1970s having a bit of fun with bending all sorts of things to ridiculous levels. And the story, maybe more importantly, is about what we might call these days enablers, the adults in the room who are happy to go along with this, encourage the child, and quite frankly turn a blind eye or sheer ignorance to the obvious trickery going on at the time. But then again, maybe the editor of the newspaper, it being 1976, was quite happy to run a story which promoted the paranormal and the supernatural. And you too can find out all sorts of things about the paranormal and the supernatural and everything else by visiting online resources for digitized newspapers. It's a great way to spend an afternoon looking up all sorts of interesting things, because you never know what you might find. Thank you for listening to the Skeptic Zone podcast this week. A few announcements from me, some COVID-related. For, a year or two? Now on the Skeptic Zone website, I've had a link to coronaconspiracy.cloud. This was a place people could upload flyers and information, leaflets, what have you, about corona conspiracies, bad information, leaflets, posters, whatever. That has sadly come to an end. We can't upload there anymore. But that's okay. It's sort of done its job with many, 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 many examples of corona madness being uploaded. They're all now in an archive for future referral. And I think it's a very important slice of history that we've managed to catch there. And a big thank you to all the people who uploaded corona conspiracy nonsense to that website. We have them now. And a big thank you to the person behind putting that together who wishes to remain anonymous. But really, thank you so much. It was invaluable what you did, and it will be an invaluable reference for the future. But yes, some of these corona conspiracy and bad advice is still coming in. And listener Graham Donald, eagle-eyed as ever, has come across this particular flyer. Brief brief overview. It's 2 pages. Well, it's a double page, printed on both sides. On the first side, we have a couple of cartoon children looking very happy. Oh, dancing away. COVID vaccine for kids? ? Have you considered all the facts? All risk, no gain. All risk, no gain. This is what these people really think. The future is theirs. Don't gamble with it. And it goes on to say, on December 10, 2021, Prime Minister Scott Morrison announced that COVID-19 vaccines for children aged 5 to 11 would commence from January 10, 2022. This injection is still in phase 3 trial. Trial complete date 1st of January 2023. With a 99.998 survival rate, children have a near zero risk of dying from COVID. We know that the injection neither prevents transmission nor provides immunity, and has been causing many deaths and adverse reactions around the world long time. Side effects are not known. On it goes. You've heard it all before. It's the same baloney, malarkey, flapdoodle, as we've heard many times. And the leaflet goes on page 2. Scan this QR code to watch 10 videos to get further information. And then it lists lots of sites, including Parents with Questions, COVID Medical Network, Australian Vaccination Risks Network, that long discredited outfit we just simply call the AVN, the same outfit that's had government warnings posted against it. Freedom Keepers Australia, there's that word again, freedom, they love their freedom. Children's Health Defence, Voice for Science and Solidarity, oh good heavens, Grow Together Schools, The High Wire, Vaccine Choice Australia, that's an interesting one. People for Safe Vaccines, they wouldn't put anything on this if people were for vaccines. People for Safe Vaccines are anti-vaxxers. Australians Say No, Advocate Me, Relative versus Absolute Risk Reduction, and it goes on, scan this QR code, it's another QR code, to read this amazing risk versus benefit analysis by Canadian COVID Care Alliance. More harm than good. So these flyers are still out and about, folks. And what has happened in the last week is we've had thousands of people turn up in Canberra, our nation's capital, in a convoy, so-called convoy. And it's the usual suspects. It's a confederation of anti-vaxxers, conspiracy theorists, people who think our freedom is about to disappear, and hangers-on. But they're loud. They are, of course, they're in the minority. The minority of Australians are getting vaccinated and doing the right thing. But these people are loud, and they've certainly shown in the past that they can slip into violence. Although I think so far, I'm not sure if there's been many violent activities done in Canberra. They're still there, and the politicians are coming back to Canberra from their annual holidays, so tomorrow might be an interesting day on that front. But despite they're all gathering and congratulating each other and thinking they're doing something amazing, they still are a tiny minority of the population. Thank you to those people out there in society who don't go to these these rallies, but instead put your hand in your digital pocket and support the Skeptic Zone via PayPal or Patreon. I couldn't do the show without your support, and everybody listening to the show thanks you. Those people who contribute, because it's because of you that they and I and everybody else and you get to hear the show every week, which I hope you enjoy. Next week on the show, the Trove segment looks at numerology, inspired by today's segment with Adrian Hill. But for this week, this is Richard Saunders signing off from Sydney, Australia.
You've been listening to the Skeptic Zone podcast. Please visit our website at www.skepticzone.tv for show notes, contacts, and to access the back catalogue of episodes going back to 2008. You can follow the Skeptic Zone podcast on Twitter @Skeptic Zone, visit our Facebook page, or leave a review on iTunes. You can also support the Skeptic Zone via Patreon or PayPal. The Skeptic Zone podcast is an independent production. The views and opinions expressed on the Skeptic Zone are not necessarily those of Australian skeptics or any other skeptical organisation.